हाय फ्रेंड्स एंड वेलकम टू कनिकाज नर्सिंग एकेडमी। आज हम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे एंड द नेम ऑफ द टॉपिक इज़ इलेक्ट्रोकार्डियोग्राफी और ECG and I know most of my students always face this problem in identifying the ECGs by seeing the long strips or the rhythms or seeing the changes or the waveforms. So always the students come up with this issue and saying that we are facing the problem in identifying the ECG. So this particular lecture we are dedicating to understanding of the basic concepts of ECG, so that after going through this lecture you will be able to say that yes, you have understood about the recording, how the recording is to be taken and how the ECG strips have to be interpreted as well. So I will just try as much as possible to make all of you to understand the basic concept and the various questions which we can answer by seeing the particular ECG strip. So the topic's name itself is saying that understanding ECG. So starting first of all with the cardiac conduction system or electrical conduction system, and I will just make all of you to recall or remember the previous class in which we have discussed that the middle layer of the heart is made up of myocardium, and that is the cardiac muscle cells, and all the cardiac muscle cells have the properties, electrical properties by the name of A, E, C, and A, E and C. A is automaticity, E is excitability and C is conductivity, and based upon these electrical properties the cardiac conduction system actually works or functions. So what we can see or identify from this images, there are few arrows mentioned here. We'll just discuss it one by one. That the sinoatrial node, which is located at the upper region or the upper area of the upper junction of the superior vena cava and the right atrium, it is a natural pacemaker of the heart, and it is mainly responsible for generating the electrical impulse for the cardiac conduction system to actually get initiated. So when the SA node it excites and it makes the atria to contract, and on the ECG strip this contraction of the atria is manifested by the P wave. PQRST is the wave formation which we can see in the ECG, and the first part, that point or the part is known as the P wave, which shows that the atrial contraction is taking place. Then the second property, excitability, this impulse gives or generates the impulse and sends this impulse to the AV node, which is located at the junction of the atria and the ventricles, and AV node it acts as a gatekeeper also. And when the impulse comes to the AV node, it has a very small delay, so that complete emptying of the atria and complete filling of the ventricles may take place, and then this AV node will be distributing this electrical signal further to the bundle of His. We can see this green portion, that is bundle of His, and the terminal parts of the bundle of His are known as the Purkinje fibers. The bundle of His first divides into right bundle branch and the left bundle branch, and the terminal areas are located at the lower part of the heart, that is the ventricular region, and the impulse goes to the bundle of His, then the Purkinje fibers. So what happens here, when it reaches the Purkinje fibers, this is the time when the ventricular contraction takes place, and the ventricular contraction on the ECG is manifested by the QRS complex, and this interval between the P wave and the QRS complex, the time interval between P and the QRS is known as the PR interval. Why I am telling all these points in this very first slide of ECG, the reason behind that is all these things will be coming as the questions, the 5 particular main questions which we need to answer by seeing the ECG strip. So that is why मैं आपको अभी starting में ये समझा रही हूँ, so that आगे चलेंगे जैसे जैसे हम आप easily उसको identify कर सको कि P wave क्या बता रही है, atrial contraction हो रही है, QRS कॉम्प्लेक्स क्या बता रहा है कि वेंट्रिकुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रही है, एंड PR इंटरवल क्या बता रहा है कि कितना टाइम लगा एट्रियल और वेंट्रिकुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होने के बीच में. Then let us discuss brief points about the characteristics of these these areas which we have just seen in the previous slides. And here we can see that SA node, because it has the fastest rate of automaticity, that is why it is known as a natural pacemaker of the heart. The AV node, it has the AV node has the delay which allows for the atrial contraction and more filling or the complete filling of the ventricular region. Then the bundle of His, which has the bundle of His actually has the ability to self-generate the electrical impulse only in the absence when the SA node is not able to fire the impulse. The responsibility will be taken over by the AV node or the upper chambers of the heart. But when they are also not able to generate the electrical impulse, then further more cells will be coming up for generating the electrical impulse, and one of those cells are present in the bundle of His as well. Then the Purkinje fibers, these are the network of fibers which carry an electrical impulse directly to the ventricular muscle cells, and the Purkinje fibers are the point where the impulse, when it reaches, it causes the ventricular contraction to occur. Next comes the breakdown of ECG, the parts of ECG. All of us know that there is an ECG strip which contains the boxes. There are large boxes, and in between those large boxes there are small boxes as well. So if I just tell you that 5 horizontal and 5 vertical boxes, small boxes lie between a large box, and हम यहाँ पर देखते हैं कि what each part is standing for. The electrical impulse of ECG goes something like this: P, Q, R, S and T. P, Q, R, S and T. So this is how it goes, and same is mentioned in this image also. So P wave is showing the atrial contraction. This QRS complex is showing the ventricular contraction. ST segment is the actually the time taken for the ventricles to repolarize, and finally there is a T wave which shows the end of the cardiac cycle, and then a small U wave formation is there. Then further new P wave will be formed, new QRS and new ST segment will be there. So अब हमें यहाँ पे क्या ध्यान देना है, each of this small box, the time interval of this small box is 0.04 seconds, and since there are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 boxes in a large box, तो हम इसको 0.04 को मल्टीप्लाई कर देते हैं 5 से, तो हमारे पास आता है 0.2 सेकेंड्स. तो ये जो बड़ा बॉक्स हमें दिखाई दे रहा है, ये पूरा इसका टाइम पीरियड है 0.2 सेकेंड्स. ठीक है, ये छोटा बॉक्स इज 0.04 सेकेंड एंड ये कंबाइन बड़ा बॉक्स इज 0.2 सेकेंड्स. ओके, देन यहाँ पर भी सेम बता रखा है, ये 200 मिली सेकेंड्स में बताया हुआ है एंड 0.2 सेकेंड्स में, एंड दिस इज़ 40 मिली सेकेंड और 0.04 सेकेंड्स. एंड यहाँ पर हमें लिखा दिखा रहा है पेपर स्पीड 25 मिलीमीटर्स पर सेकेंड. तो मिलीमीटर्स में हम कैसे देखेंगे इसको, ये जो एक स्मॉल बॉक्स है इसकी हॉरिजॉन्टली हाइट में भी और विड्थ में भी द डायमेंशन इज़ 1 mm, और अगर 25 mm पर सेकेंड लिखा है, दैट मीन्स जब हमारी ECG रिकॉर्ड कर रही है वेव फॉर्म्स को, तो वो कितने 25 1 2 3 4 5 ये 25 बॉक्सेस में रिकॉर्डिंग, ये जो हमें दिख रही है एक्चुअली ये वाली रिकॉर्डिंग, इसकी स्पीड क्या है, ये 1 सेकेंड में हमें रिकॉर्ड होती दिख रही है. एंड सेम वे आगे चलेंगे 25 मिलीमीटर्स पर सेकेंड एक और वेव फॉर्म बन जाएगा. तो विद इन 60 सेकेंड्स हमें इस तरीके के 60 इमेजेस और 60 ECG वेव फॉर्म्स दिख सकते हैं अगर हम 60 सेकेंड्स की या 1 मिनट की बात कर रहे हैं. तो अगर हम बोलेंगे 25 मिलीमीटर्स पर सेकेंड की स्पीड पे है. देन अगर टाइम इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट, सेम वे द एम्पलीट्यूड और द हाइट इज द वोल्टेज, इट इज़ ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट टू बी कंसिडर्ड, क्योंकि अब हम लोग देखते हैं वेव फॉर्म्स जो हैं कुछ हाई बन रहे हैं, कुछ लो बन रहे हैं, तो देर इज़ नो एबनॉर्मेलिटी। बट अगर हमें एबनॉर्मेलिटी काउंट करनी है तो दैट मीन्स हमें नॉर्मल पता होना चाहिए, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम जब हम मायोकार्डियल इन्फार्क्शन का केस देखते हैं तो वी ऑलवेज से दैट देर इज़ एन ST सेगमेंट एलिवेशन। तो अगर हम ST सेगमेंट को एलिवेशन बोल रहे हैं अभी, तो दिस इज़ नॉट एलिवेटेड, सो व्हेन इट इज़ नोन टू बी एलिवेटेड, या फिर हम बोल रहे हैं कि T वेव है और ज़्यादा टॉल है, तो व्हाट इज़ द नॉर्मल एम्पलीट्यूड और द नॉर्मल हाइट ऑफ द टी वेव, वो हम लोग देखते हैं। तो उसमें दिस 5 mm हो गया। सो दिस 1 millivolt इज़ फॉर द 10 बॉक्सेस। अगर मैं यहाँ पे बना दूँ 0.1 millivolt का एक स्मॉल बॉक्स है, तो ये जो 10 बॉक्सेस की हाइट हो गई, ये हमारी क्या हो गई है, 1 millivolt हो गई है। तो इस तरीके से दिस इज़ द नॉर्मल थिंग विच वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, दैट स्मॉल बॉक्स का टाइम पीरियड इज़ 0.04 सेकेंड्स। मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया मैंने उसको 5 बॉक्सेस से, क्योंकि उसमें बड़े बॉक्स में 5 बॉक्सेस थे। मल्टीप्लाई 5 से करने के बाद हमें टाइम इंटरवल मिल गया 0.2 सेकेंड्स का। ओके, सो हेयर अगेन वी कैन सी दिस ब्रेक डाउन ओनली। 1 mm जो एक छोटा बॉक्स है 1 mm का, उसका टाइम ड्यूरेशन 0.04 सेकेंड, 5 mm का 0.2 सेकेंड्स, एंड हमारी नॉर्मली 25 मिलीमीटर्स पर सेकेंड 30 मिलीमीटर्स पर सेकेंड की स्पीड पे ECG रिकॉर्ड होती है। एंड 1 2 3 4 5 mm इज इक्वल टू 0.5 मिलीवोल्ट, मतलब एक जो ये बड़ा बॉक्स, एक छोटा बॉक्स है, इसकी हाइट इज़ 0.1 मिलीवोल्ट। तो इसको मैं 5 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगी तो 0.5 मिलीवोल्ट आ जाएगा। अगर मैं 10 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगी तो आ जाएगा 1 मिलीवोल्ट। सो 1 मिलीवोल्ट इज इक्वल टू 10 स्मॉल स्क्वायर्स वर्टिकली। मूविंग अहेड, ओके, सो यहाँ पर भी हम वही चीज़ देख सकते हैं दैट 1 लार्ज स्क्वायर इज टाइम इन टर्म्स ऑफ एम्पलीट्यूड, इफ वी जस्ट से दैट 2 लार्ज स्क्वायर्स दे कंट्रीब्यूट टू 1 millivolt, and 1 large square is 0.5 millivolt or 0.2 seconds, and 1 small square is 0.1 millivolt or 0.04 second. This is just a brief summary of what we have discussed in the previous slides only, and 5 large squares is also equal to 1 second. Okay, ये चीज़ हम देख लेते हैं। We have said that 1 2 3 4 5, okay, ये these are the 5 boxes, and 5 boxes जो बनाते हैं 0.2 सेकेंड्स का टाइम। ओके, तो अगर मैं इसको बड़े बॉक्सेस 5 होंगे मेरे पास, तो ये हो जाएगा 1 सेकेंड का टाइम। इसकी भी इंपॉर्टेंस हम देखेंगे, वाई इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू नोट द टाइम ड्यूरेशन 1 सेकेंड 2 सेकेंड 0.2 सेकेंड 0.04 सेकेंड, बिकॉज वी नीड टू नो द नॉर्मल ड्यूरेशन, only then we will be able to identify the abnormal duration or the abnormal formation of the waveforms. Okay, so the same thing, the breakdown 0.04 seconds, 0.2 seconds, again we are just reinforcing onto it again and again so that it becomes really clear to all of you once we proceed to the 5 questions which we need to answer by seeing the ECG strip. So let us go one by one the parts of ECG. The P wave, when the SA node it fires the impulse and sends the electrical impulses outward to stimulate both the atria and ultimately leads to the contraction of atria. It is manifested on the ECG strip as P wave. We can see easily here the formation of the P wave, and the approximate time duration of P wave is 0.1 or 0.12 seconds we can say. And how do we calculate it here, that whether it is normal or not? We mentioned that 1 small square time duration is 0.04 second, 2 small square will be 0.08 seconds, 3 small squares will be 0.12 seconds. So यहाँ पर अगर हम देखें this P1 2 and almost 3, so it makes it as 0.12 seconds. So this is the normal ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द, यहाँ लिख देते हो रेड से, 0.12 सेकेंड, द पी वेव that is formed by the contraction of atria. Next is the PR interval, and as already I have mentioned that PR interval is the interval between the atrial contraction and the ventricular contraction, that is between P and QRS the PR interval will be there, and the normal time duration of PR interval is 0.12 to 0.20 seconds, which means 0.12 is 3 small square or 5 is 0.20 is 5 small squares. So between 3 to 5 we can see here 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is the normal PR interval, or we can write it here as 0.12 to 0.20 seconds. This is the normal time duration of PR interval. Moving ahead, next is the QRS complex, which is actually manifesting the contraction of the ventricles. When the impulse from the bundle of His, it is just getting distributed throughout the ventricular muscles by the Purkinje fibers, then is the time when the ventricular contraction will be taking place, and this is the QRS complex which manifests itself as the ventricular contraction, and its normal duration has to be less than 0.12 seconds, or we can say less than 3 small squares. Let's check it here. 1, 2 and almost 2.5. So it is getting less than 3 small squares, which is the normal duration of the ventricular contraction. Okay, so this is how we can just determine whether it is a normal or the abnormal waveform. Moving ahead, about the T wave, it shows that the ventricles are repolarizing and there is no associated electrical activity of the ventricular muscle, and it is known as the resting phase of the cardiac cycle. So if we just say Q, R, S and T, so complete QT interval, it determines the time taken by the ventricles to depolarize and then to repolarize, whereas if we just talk about the T wave, it is just showing that there is no electrical activity, the ventricles are recharging for the next impulse to take place. Okay, so now actually comes the important part, that is the interpretation of the ECG, and this particular class is prepared for all of you to just understand about the basic steps of interpretation of ECG and what all those steps are. Let us just go one by one. First is the identification of heart rate, then the identification and seeing whether the rhythm is regular or irregular, then the questions about P wave or the atrial contraction, then about the PR interval, and then the question about the QRS complex, that is a ventricular contraction. So we'll just go one by one to all these questions to see how an ECG rhythm will be interpreted. Okay, so here we come to the first question, that is the interpretation of heart rate. Here it comes, and we have 3 different methods to calculate the heart rate from the ECG strip which we are having, and all these steps we will discuss one by one, and the first step out of those is 6-second method. If you just remember, in the previous few slides we have been discussing about the time duration, and there we have mentioned that 1, 2, let me change the color, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 big squares contribute to 1 second, and ये 1 second कहाँ से आया था, 0.2 seconds for one big box and multiplied by 5 came out to be 1 second. And अगर हम बोल रहे हैं we need to calculate the heart rate by the 6-second method, that means हमें 6 seconds चाहिए होंगे. तो अगर 5 boxes, big boxes are making 1 second, यहाँ लिख देते हैं हम लोग 5 big squares is equal to 1 second. So और opposite करते हैं, 1 second is equal to 5 big squares. So हमें चाहिए 6 seconds is equal to 5 into 6 will make it as 30 big squares or 30 large squares. So this is how the 30 big squares would be accounting for 6 seconds. Now we have got the 6 seconds with us, and the first method of identifying the heart rate is 6-second method only. So it is a very easy method. We just have to count the number of QRS complexes in 6 seconds, and then we have to multiply it by 10. And why we need to multiply it by 10? The reason being, these are the 6 seconds and we calculate the heart rate in 1 minute. So 6 seconds multiplied by 10 will make it as 60 seconds. So that is why the number of QRS complexes. And why only QRS complexes? Because the cardiac output is generated by the ventricular contraction, and ventricular contraction is manifested as QRS complex on the ECG. So the arrows are given over here, so for better understanding. So let us count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So 8 multiplied by 10 will be 80. That means इस patient की heart rate at the time of carrying out the ECG is 80 beats per minute. Okay, this is the first method. And if I just give you a simple example, that every time we calculate the heart rate, it will not be always in multiples of 10, like it will not be always 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so for that particular reason we have 2 more methods by which we can calculate the heart rate of a patient. So the other 2 methods are, first one is 1500 method and another one is 300 method, and I will just write it over here, the 1500 method. Now you will say that from where this 1500 value has come. So let us just quickly review. I will just erase it, every other thing from this page, so that it becomes easy for you to understand. First one is 1500 method. So earlier we have used this strip as a 6-second method, and we have said that there are 30 big squares in 6 seconds, right? And उसको multiply कर लिया था 10 से, 60 seconds बना दिया था हमने heart rate को. Now when we have to say that the 30 big squares will have how many small squares? So every single big square has 5 small squares. So we will just multiply this 30 with 5 and it will come out to be 150 big squares in 6 seconds. And again I would just repeat the point that we calculate the heart rate in 60 seconds, that is 1 minute, not 6 seconds. So we will multiply 150 by 10 and that will be 1500 in 60 seconds. Now this value has come, 1500. Now what is next? Because we have calculated this 1500 from the number of small squares within the big square. So what we will do is, we will just count the number of small squares between any of the two QRS complexes across this ECG strip, and we will divide 1500 by that number. Let us see how many small squares are in these 2 QRS complexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so if we just divide 1500 by 19, or it will become coming around as 78 or approximately 79. So earlier by the 6-second method it was 80 and now it has come out to be 78 or 79. The third and the last method is, I will just delete it from here and I will review it again for you. Third method is 300 method, and going back to the same point that 6-second method was having 30 large squares, and अगर हम उसको 60 seconds बोलेंगे तो 30 into 10 will be 300. and now what we have to do is we have to count the number of big squares within two QRS complexes, because we have calculated this 300 from the big squares and divide this 300 by that number. So let us see 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it will be coming around as 75 beats per minute. Everywhere we can see that if we just see from this 1, 2, 3 and 3.5 or 3 more than 3.5, then here again 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 1, 2, 3, almost 4. So we have calculated it as an approximate method, that 75, 76, 78, 80. So with every method, be it a 6-second method, we got the heart rate as 80. If it was a 1500 method, we got it around 78 or 79. And if it was a 300 method, so we got it around 75. So you, any one of these methods is correct. And in competitive, from the competitive point of view, you can get this question that calculate the heart rate of the patient if the number of QRS complexes are this by 300 method or by 1500 method. So these kind of questions also come in the competitive examinations. Let us proceed further with one question for all of you, that we have to calculate the heart rate on this particular rhythm. And what you can see here is, again if I can just calculate it for you, 1, 2, this is a 6-second method, 30 squares are there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So the heart rate of this patient is 100 beats per minute. And I will just make all of you recall that the normal heart rate range is between 60 to 100. Below 60 is known as bradycardia. More than 100 is known as tachycardia. So this particular patient, while doing the ECG on this patient, was at borderline for tachycardia. So this is how the first step will be going, that is calculation of the heart rate from an ECG strip. Moving further to the second question, that is heart rhythm. So heart rhythm can be classified as either regular or irregular heart rhythm. Okay, and if I just go to the types of heart rhythm which we have sinus rhythm, we have atrial rhythm, and we have ventricular rhythm. So these are the three types of rhythm: the sinus rhythm, and we have atrial rhythm, and we have ventricular rhythm. That means we just want to know how in a rhythmic fashion the atria, the ventricles, they are functioning, and how well the sinoatrial node is transmitting or initiating the electrical impulse and moving it further to the various other areas of the heart. So under sinus rhythm, the abnormalities will be coming, the normal rhythm is known as normal sinus rhythm, and there are two abnormalities basically: sinus tachycardia and sinus bradycardia. So if there is sinoatrial node is functioning normally, but the heart is beating at a faster rate, means when while exercising or doing some vigorous activity, the heart rate becomes more. So that will be sinus tachycardia. Sinus bradycardia is when the heart is beating slower than the normal or the usual, then it will be known as sinus bradycardia. Same way, if we talk about the atrial rhythm means that how much time does it take from going to the one atrial contraction to the another atrial contraction, means there should be equidistant atrial contractions from one to another. Means if we just see in terms of distance, that if there is a distance of more than 0.06 or 0.6 seconds between two atrial contractions, then we will say that these are the irregular rhythm complexes. Okay, same way if we talk about the ventricular rhythm, again the time duration between the two ventricular contraction has to be similar across the ECG, then only we will say that this is a regular rhythm ECG strip. Now if we are just talking about the irregularity, so I will just give you one example, that irregular rhythms are basically found in atrial dysrhythmias, mainly in atrial fibrillation, ventricular fibrillation also in case of ventricular dysrhythmia. And regular rhythms, we will be able to find regular rhythm in normal sinus rhythm, sinus tachycardia, sinus bradycardia, even atrial flutter will be having normal, not normal, regular rhythm on an ECG strip. So how do we measure this rhythm? Measure the ventricular rhythm by measuring the interval between R to R waves, and atrial rhythm by measuring the interval between P to P waves. So 2 P's, 2, 3, 4, all the P's with each other, with the subsequent P, should have the similar distance between them, and same way 2 RR, subsequent RR, consecutively RRs should have the similar distance between them. So this was a second question about the identification whether the rhythm is regular or irregular. Let us go to the next, third question, and the third question is about the P wave. The important thing, again, all the questions are important basically, but this is itself an important part, because atrial contraction we are talking about here in this P wave. So there are 5 questions which we are going to answer by seeing the P wave on an ECG strip. And what are those questions? Question number 1 is whether P wave is present or not. If the P wave is present, we can easily say that the sinoatrial node is functional, okay. And if there is an absence of P wave, or there is an abnormality in the P wave, we would say that the patient is either into atrial dysrhythmia or into ventricular dysrhythmia. Or sometimes there may be some variations in the formation of P wave that will be coming in this point, third point, fourth point. And second question is, are the P waves occurring regularly? If at all we have to say that this is an ECG of a normal individual, that means there has to be normalization in all the points which we have previously discussed in the cardiac conduction system and in the cardiac cycle, where we said that P wave should be present because it shows that the atrial contraction is taking place. And if there is an irregularity in the formation of P wave, that means the patient might be having a sick sinus syndrome, triple S, which means that the patient might be having some variations or irregularity or slowness of the impulses being transmitted from the sinoatrial node. Then generally we assess the ECG rhythm also in terms of the atrial versus ventricular contractions, that is P versus QRS ratio is measured. And if at all we are saying that there is a regular ECG strip or the ECG of the patient is normal, in which case we would be saying that when there is every P for QRS, for the subsequent QRS, once there will be atrial contraction, after that there will be ventricular, then there will be atrial contraction, then ventricular contraction, and so on. But if there are variations in this number, as in case of atrial flutter or atrial fibrillation, this P, frequency of P will become more, but there may be single QRS for 2, 3, 4 Ps. So in that case it will be counted as abnormal. Then this question is usually given in most of the questions, and examinations have already asked this question, that what are the characteristics of P wave? How should the P wave look like on an ECG strip? It should be smooth, it should be rounded, and it should be upright in appearance. And if it is inverted in appearance, that means the impulse is getting generated earlier than it should be generated, or contraction is taking place earlier than it should be occurring. So in case of inverted complexes, there may be premature complexes, which may be either PAC, which stands for premature atrial complexes here. If we are talking about the ventricular complexes which are inverted, so in that case there will be premature ventricular contractions. Okay. And the fifth question is, definitely all the P waves should be looking similar across the ECG strip, only then the ECG in terms of P wave, that is occurrence of the atrial contraction, will be counted as a normal ECG. So this was the third question. Moving on to the next one, and This is about the PR interval, the time period between the atrial contraction and the ventricular contraction. So normal length we have already discussed that 3 to 5 small squares or between 0.12 seconds to 0.20 seconds. So we have three basically questions which we have to answer from the ECG strip by looking at the PR intervals, and these are the first question is, are the PR interval greater than this higher range, and second is are the PR intervals less than this lower range. These are the two questions, 1 and 2 question. So I would just like to answer it one by one. First is, if it is less than 0.12 seconds, I will just redraw the flowchart which we have already seen earlier, that SA node, then AV node, then bundle office and its bundle branches, and finally the Purkinje fibers, and this is the PR interval. When the impulse goes from SA node to Purkinje fibers, then the PR interval is formed, the normal PR interval. We are talking of the abnormal ones, and first point is less than the normal range. So just recall that we said that sinoatrial node is a natural pacemaker of the heart, and sometimes if the sinoatrial node is not able to generate the electrical impulses or initiate the cardiac conduction system, so what will happen? This is not functional. Maybe this area, AV node, will start to generate the electrical impulse. So in that case the PR interval will be counted from this point to this point. So this interval will be less than this actual interval. Okay, this is one case. Second case is whether it is more than the normal. So in what cases it will be? So if I would just answer this first question, that in what cases the PR interval is less than 0.12 seconds, so you would say that in case of atrial or supraventricular dysrhythmias, the PR interval will be less than the normal. Second is the PR interval when it comes to or it goes to more than the normal value. So the answer to that is, again we would say that SA node is functional. In case SA node is functional, but the impulses are getting blocked at the AV node. There is a delay in transmission of impulse from AV node to ventricles. In that case, because we have said that AV node acts as a gatekeeper, and what is the function of a gatekeeper? It holds the person to the gate for some time and then only allows the entry of the person inside. So same way, if there are so many impulses coming to the AV node and sometimes the AV node is blocking those impulses, so in that case the usual time period will become more. The impulse was coming from here, but delay in time has been occurring over the AV node. So in which case atrioventricular blocks. When the heart block is the condition, then we can expect that the PR interval will be more than the usual level. So I hope it is all clear. And the third question is, again like as in case of P wave, we have mentioned that the PR intervals also should be constant across the ECG strip. If there is any variation, that will be counted as abnormal. Moving further to the last question of the QRS complex, and here what we can see, again first of all we need to just remember that the time period was less than 0.12 second normal or less than 3 small squares. So first two questions are again related to this time period only, whether the QRS complex is greater than 0.1 to more than 0.12, or if it is less than even 2 small squares. So what could be the reason? So if it is more than 0.12 seconds, so it will not be a pointed one, it will be like something like this. This will be the QRS complex if we are talking of the wide complex QRS. And when does it happen? When the sinoatrial node does not initiate the impulse, the AV node does not initiate the impulse, the any area in the atria is not able to initiate the impulse, then the ventricles, they generate their own rhythm which is known as escape rhythm, and in that escape rhythm the ventricles take long time to contract and relax. So that is why the patients with ventricular dysrhythmias or ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, they have this characteristic feature of band like or wave like waveforms, जिसको हम बोलते हैं Torsades de Pointes. So this is the example or this is the condition where we would be able to find the wide complex QRS. That means in case of ventricular dysrhythmia, if the impulses, the QRS complexes are narrow, less than 0.12 second, so in which case in the previous slide we have seen that SA node, when it is not functional, the impulses would be coming from anywhere in the atria or directly from the AV node. So in that case the impulse would be reaching very quickly to the QRS complex, ventricles, and the QRS complex will be taking a very short duration to be formed. So narrow complex tachycardia is found in supraventricular, that means above the ventricles dysrhythmia. वो कौन सा है? Atrial dysrhythmia. And again the third question says, are the QRS complexes similar in appearance across the ECG strip? Definitely, just like P wave, PR interval and QRS complexes, all these should be looking constant and similar in appearance whenever we are just reading out the ECG. So this is the fifth question, and now the question from my side to all, that what kind of rhythm is this? So most of the time when I ask this question from the students, so the students would say that abnormal है, fibrillation, flutter कुछ हो रहा है. But generally whenever we are looking at मतलब we are recording the ECG, there is nothing a point like all the QRS complexes are looking normal, but there are some shaky waves in between the QRS complexes. So the answer is actually mentioned at the side, that this is an example of an artifact. Artifact is nothing but a man-made ECG, and for building up a man-made ECG there has to be certain reasons because of which this kind of ECG is obtained, and the reasons include when the patient is moving during the recording of ECG. Every time when we have to take the ECG, we always say to the patient कि आपने हिलना नहीं है, you don't have to move during the ECG when it is being recorded. So if the patient moves, so these kind of waves will be there in the ECG. Then we usually place electrodes on the chest of the patient, on the extremities of the patient. So if we have not placed the electrodes properly, or the electrodes are not connected to the wires properly, that may be another reason. Then if there is an improper grounding of the electrodes just because of the presence of sweating over the area or presence of hair over the chest, so in that case again we would not be able to find the rhythms or the waveforms on the ECG strip or the recording. And finally, everything is working well. We have cleaned the area for getting the ECG, we have placed the electrodes properly, the grounding is proper, but the ECG device is not working. So these are the reasons why we obtain an abnormal type of ECG, that is an artifact. Okay, so in all these examples, if the recording of ECG is obtained to be as abnormal, so what is the first thing to be done is assessment of the patient. So this kind of question also comes, that sometimes if the cardiac monitoring is done and the cardiac monitor shows abnormal ECG waveforms being formed, but you don't find any abnormality or any problem with the patient, that means there has to be some other reason from the aforementioned reasons. So first point which you need to do is assess the patient. The patient needs to be assessed for finding out whether there is problem with the patient or whether there is problem with the apparatus. Okay, so the types of this was the basic description of interpreting the ECG and the 5 questions which we need to answer. Now I will just brief out few things for the quick review, so that all of you are able to understand the normal abnormal concept or the normal abnormal phenomena. So bradycardia is heart rate less than 60 and normal is between 60 to 100. Tachycardia is more than 100 up to 160, means more than 100 is tachycardia only. And the heart rhythm which we count it, I have already mentioned that It can be either a sinus rhythm, it can be an atrial rhythm, and it can be a ventricular rhythm. Okay, then the types of sinus rhythms. There are 3 rhythms: normal sinus rhythm, sinus tachy, and sinus brady. Just see this further coming slide which shows the examples. Okay, so we have discussed about 5 questions. Now this is an example of a normal sinus rhythm wali ECG. We will just answer the questions one by one. The first question was heart rate calculation. So the heart rate of this patient is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. That means the heart rate is 70 beats per minute. Okay, 70 beats per minute, and that means it is between the normal range, that is 60 to 100. Second question was rhythm assessment. So we have to count the number of squares or boxes between P and P, and between R and R. So if we just see that these areas, they all should be equal in number: 1, 2, 3 and 3.5, 1, 2, 3 and 3.5, 1, 2, 3 and 3.5. So atrial rhythm is regular. In case of ventricular rhythm, again R to R distance is to be measured: 1, 2, 3, almost 3.5 again, 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 1, 2, 3 and more than just 3. So again ventricular rhythm is also regular. So since it is a normal sinus rhythm, everything is going to come out to be normal only. Then next is there a P wave for every QRS? Yes, there is equal ratio, 1:1 ratio of P versus QRS. This is also okay. P waves are upright and uniform? Yes. So P waves are also smooth, rounded and upright in appearance. What is the length of PR interval? 3 to 5 small squares के बीच में होना चाहिए. तो let us see: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So everywhere it is coming out to be normal. Then all QRS complexes are also looking normal, less than 0.12 seconds, and these all are the questions which we have found to be all normal in a normal sinus rhythm. Moving ahead, this is an example of sinus bradycardia. So answer to every question will be normal except for the heart rate, which will be less than the normal, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. This patient has a heart rate of 40 beats per minute, and otherwise rhythm is regular. Interval of P to QRS is okay. Only thing is heart is beating at a slower rate, but everything is getting normal. No, there is no abnormalities in sinoatrial node. But sometimes we see that athletes, those who have a habit of doing vigorous activity, when they are in resting state, they will be usually having their heart beating at the lower range or the slower range. So in that case, this heart rate will be coming to us. And in sometimes bradycardia is also observed in people with heart blocks. Then is sinus tachycardia. So sinus tachycardia, again the answer to all the questions will be normal except for the heart rate. And let us see, this patient has heart rate of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So heart rate है इस patient की 120 beats per minute. The rhythms are found to be regular here, and then only thing you can see, observe here is there is a little gap between P and T, and that is the reason that why it is occurring, because the heart is beating at a faster rate than the normal, because it is supplying blood to the area which is exercising at a very faster rate. So supply and demand both have to be increased. Then are the atrial dysrhythmias, and in atrial dysrhythmias we have these conditions, and they are atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation and PSVT or supraventricular tachycardia. So what is the mostly we get the question that the difference between how do we differentiate between atrial flutter and atrial fibrillation, since दोनों केसेस में atrial contraction rate ज़्यादा है, so हमें कैसे पता चलेगा flutter है या fibrillation है. तो let us see here the difference. This is the example of flutter. So the flutter, atrial flutter has a very unique pattern of a sawtooth shape P का waveform. sawtooth shape जैसे आरी के दांत होते हैं. अब नॉर्मली P तो हमने बोला है ऐसे होती है. अब यहाँ पे P is not found but it is rather replaced by the multiple F waves. फ्लटर वेव्स बन गई हैं एंड वो भी कैसी, sawtooth शेप बन गई है. बट यू कैन सी एक सिंगल P की जगह 3 फ्लटर वेव्स बन गए बिकॉज हार्ट ना सिंक्रोनाइज करके नहीं बीट कर रहा है, ऐसे लब डब लब डब नहीं कर रहा, वो कर रहा है लब 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 पहले फिर डब लब 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 पहले फिर डब, इस तरीके से कर रहा है. एंड दिस इज द रीजन व्हाई वी आर गेटिंग मोर नंबर ऑफ एफ. तो यहाँ पे पहले तो रेट है, अगर हम देखें 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, द एक्चुअल हार्ट रेट इज 80. बट अगर हम देखें एट्रियल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन रेट वो तो ज़्यादा है क्योंकि इट इज़ शोइंग द फ्लटर मोशन, फड़फड़ाने वाला मोशन एट्रियल चैम्बर्स जो हैं शो कर रहे हैं. तो यहाँ देख लेते हैं 1 2 3 4 5 6 एंड 7 एंड एवरीवेयर देर आर 3. सो 7 को 3 से मल्टीप्लाई किया हमने तो हो गया 210. सो यहाँ पे इस पेशेंट का हार्ट इज एट्रिया आर कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग एट अ रेट ऑफ 210 बीट्स पर मिनट. रेंज हमें दे रखी है कि 250 से 300 के बीच में बीट करेगा, बट वेंट्रिकुलर रेट विल बी वेरिएबल. इफ ऑल द एट्रियल इम्पल्सेस आर गोइंग टू द वेंट्रिकल सो वेंट्रिकुलर रेट भी बढ़ जाएगी, बट यहाँ पे अभी पेशेंट की नॉर्मल है. रिदम विल बी रेगुलर, atrial rhythm is regular but ventricular rhythm may become irregular if at all ventricular contractions are becoming more in number, only in that case. Otherwise this patient with atrial flutter, and this is the second difference. First difference was the multiple F waves and second difference is disorganized signals. In case of fibrillation the signals travel in an disorganized fashion, but in case of flutter the signals travel in an organized fashion across the areas of the heart. P versus QRS की रेशो देखें. So normal P waves are absent but there are F waves which are replaced by the P waves. So यहाँ पे हमारे पास 3:1 की रेशो है. For every 3 F waves there is 1 QRS complex. एंड अगला क्वेश्चन हमारा था कि PR इंटरवल कितना होना चाहिए. अब यहाँ पे तो 3 F हैं. So with which F we measure the PR interval? We cannot measure actually. तो हम बोलेंगे कि PR interval is not measurable in case of atrial flutter because it is variable. All QRS complexes are looking normal here. They are alike and QRS complexes का duration is also normal. The actual which should be. Next coming to the second abnormality of atrial dysrhythmia, that is atrial fibrillation. and इसमें आप देखें see the sawtooth pattern is not found. This difference already is explained that rather than the P waves there are some wavy waveforms, shaky waveforms which are represented as fibrillating waves, and the contraction will be around 350 to 400 in case of atria and ventricular rate will be variable. एंड 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 यहाँ पे इस पेशेंट की हार्ट रेट इज़ 90. बात आती है रिदम की. रिदम इन केस ऑफ एट्रियल फिब्रिलेशन विल बी इरेगुलर. अब बताती हूँ मैं आपको. जब हम रेगुलरिटी की बात करते हैं तो इरेगुलर रिदम में हमारे पास 2 टाइप्स की रिदम है. एक है रेगुलरली इरेगुलर, एक है इरेगुलरली इरेगुलर. पहले हम ये पैटर्न देख लेते हैं इरेगुलरली इरेगुलर का बिकॉज इट इज़ नाउ विजिबल हेयर. So irregularly irregular का मतलब है once ventricles they have the distance like 3 squares, then the 3 squares, then the distance is increasing, then it is decreasing, then again increasing, decreasing and increasing. So there is a variable pattern of distance between R waveforms. So in this case this is a pattern of irregularly irregular rhythm. What will happen in a regular rhythm? There will be a regular pattern like for after every two waveforms, there will be a distance, more distance or less distance, again two will be regular, then irregular, two will be regular, irregular. So this is the pattern of regularly irregular rhythm. Here the rhythm is irregularly irregular. Then PR interval, here again we cannot measure the PR interval. QRS complexes are all looking same. QRS complexes range or the time duration is less than 0.12 seconds. Then the third type of dysrhythmia in atrial dysrhythmias is PSVT or supraventricular tachycardia. इसको हम बोलते हैं paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, means episodes of SVT. When the sinoatrial node is not functional, there will be multiple areas in the atria which will start to generate their electrical impulse, thinking that let me start करके there will be 10 or 15 or more than those areas which will be starting the electrical impulse. So what will be the result? That there will be number of atrial contractions will be increasing, and it will be around 150 to 250, and ventricular rate is also going to increase in this case. And the unique pattern here is the in the tachycardia there was an M shape pattern, and because there was a very less distance between P and T, but here we can see that the T and P are merged among themselves. There is no single, there are no double P wave or T wave, because if we see the normal pattern, it has to be like this. This is P, this is T, but in this example, P and T are merged in between themselves. So this is an example of supraventricular tachycardia. The rhythm is although regular, अगर हम ventricular rhythm देखें, it is regular, heart is beating in a synchronized manner, but P wave, we cannot measure the PR interval here. PR interval usually becomes low, पहले low होता रहेगा, मतलब कम होता रहेगा, and ultimately we will not be able to actually find out what is the PR interval because P is merged in T. All QRS complexes will be looking rather similar, and QRS complexes का जो time duration है that is also normal. एक स्पेशल टाइप ऑफ PSVT हमारे पास होती है, एंड उस कंडीशन में पेशेंट वुल्फ पार्किंसन वाइट सिंड्रोम WPW सिंड्रोम, इसमें पेशेंट के जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर होते हैं, एक तो होता है कि हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज्ड, ठीक है, एक तो होता है डेल्टा वेव की फॉर्मेशन, और एक होता है PR इंटरवल विल बी गोइंग शॉर्टर, ठीक है। तो अब डेल्टा वेव जैसे अब जो हमारा QRS ऐसे बनता है, अब यहाँ पे तो ये नीचे जाके आ रहा है, बट इन केस में हमारे पास ये ऊपर से निकल जाएगा, दिस इज नोन एज दी डेल्टा वेव। सो डेल्टा वेव फॉर्मेशन हमें वुल्फ पार्किंसन वाइट सिंड्रोम में मिलेगी। So that is actually all about the basic concept of ECG, and few dysrhythmias also I have tried to explain so that you are able to distinguish between the normal and the abnormal interpretation of ECG. I would just like to finish off here by just highlighting where do we place the electrodes while recording the ECG. There are six electrodes which are placed on the chest by the name of V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, or they can be C1 to C6, and the location is the first electrode on the chest is placed on the fourth intercostal space on the right side of sternum, and the second is placed on the similar point but on the left side of sternum. Then before placing V3 we place V4, which is placed at the apex region, which is found on the fifth intercostal space on the mid clavicular line, and then after placing this we will place V3 in between V2 and V4. V5 is placed in the anterior axillary region at the similar point, that is where the V4 was placed, and V6 is placed in the mid axillary region, armpit के बिल्कुल center में at the level of fifth intercostal space. These are the chest electrodes. Then the four extremity electrodes, 2 are placed on the upper extremities and 2 are placed on the lower extremities. So this you can see here, the chest electrodes. V1, V2, V3, V4 and V5, V6, and these leads are placed to find out the information about different areas of the heart, and we will be able to obtain different views of the heart by putting the or placing the electrodes at different positions of the chest and the extremities. So again, if you can just see where the fourth intercostal space right side, fourth intercostal space left side, then on the mid clavicular line the V4 is placed, and V3 is in between V2 and V4, V5 and then V6. That is all about the brief, or you can say somewhat detailed description about the ECG and how to identify the abnormal ECG, how to interpret the ECG. And I think this lecture will be helping all of you a lot to just identify or identify the abnormalities or interpret the ECG in general. And there will be number of questions which will be coming to your mind, and we are always open for discussion, and you can just put your queries so that we can answer to your queries. Thank you.